Hi everyone, welcome to the Nurse Netty channel. This is episode 2. Wanted to expand from episode 1, which we talked about a parent self-assessment. So today we're going to be talking about, now you know the areas that you might need to work on, so where do you go from there? Again, my name is Nurse Netty. I'm at howtohavethetalk.info, and I am here in this little tiny kitchen. My kids were making fun of me after episode 1 because they said, "Mom, it's too dark. You can hear background noise. Your face is too close to the camera. The lighting is off. There's no intro." So I've been teased, but I really don't want to wait until all of those things are in order. Hopefully you'll see in the future that I have all those things ready to go, but I just don't want to hold back on the message, because the message is really helping you become a rad parent, one that is resourceful, one that is available, and one that is dependable. Because every child, every tween, every teen deserves to have a rad parent in their life. And I am here to help you achieve that. Because again, the research shows that kids who are comfortable talking to their parents, and parents have to be comfortable talking to their kids to make that happen, do better in life. They're better adults, they're more resilient, they make better decisions. So let's move forward and figure out how to do this. Let's bridge that gap, because kids want the conversation and parents want to have the conversation. So let's bring it together, because I think it'll not only bring families together, but it will also just create a better world overall. So let's move forward. We talked about the self-assessment. You've been able to, and again, I have a library where there is a physical couple-page self-assessment that you can take that's a little more detailed than what we talked about in episode 1. And I'll give you access to that in the comments. But so you figured out your strengths and your weaknesses. So where do you go? What do you do with it from there? So we need to put a plan in place. And the first step in that plan is making a commitment to yourself. Making a commitment that you're going to learn the skills, you're going to learn the knowledge, so you can have these conversations, so you don't avoid them. I know a lot of you have voiced that you're fearful, that it's overwhelming, that you don't feel prepared. That's okay. Everybody feels that way. So that's why I'm here, so we can, overcome those hurdles and get you into a place where these conversations are super comfortable. Because nowadays our kids are getting all their information on, the internet, TikTok, and they are comfortable with it. I think they're more comfortable with it than we are. So I am here to just kind of boost you and make everything smooth and easy. So let's get started and talking about what are the next steps. So I'm going to give you a personal story. I am probably like you. I was raised by parents that did not give me the talk. And Mom and Dad, I love you, but I know it wasn't part of their culture. My mom was raised on a farm. She had a real simple life, and there was some religion baked in there. And my dad, he was raised in a very religious household. And so we just didn't have the talk. And I think partly because they didn't have the skills and the knowledge to do this. So I lost out on that. In fact, I remember my grandmother, she was babysitting me, and there were people kissing on TV, and she said, "Annette, we just don't do that. That's just not something that you do." So a little bit of taboo in there, but overall, I just think that my parents, no fault of theirs, that they just didn't have the skills or knowledge to, have the talk with me. So step 1, realized how important and how I really wanted to have that conversation with my parents. I was that, statistic in the research that said, hey, I want to get that information from my parents. but I wasn't able to. So when I went to college, I took a sexual health class, and my professor was outstanding. Her name was Dr. Flannery, and we talked about everything under the sun. And I was so blown away because she just made it so comfortable. And I thought, you know what, this is really important. These are life skills. I wish I had had these. And from that day forward, I made a commitment to have open conversations. So that means these conversations in my future relationships with my friends, and when I became a parent, to have them with my children, because it was really important to me. I saw the value in having these conversations with my kids. So I think once you identify your strengths and weaknesses, really make a commitment to yourself that you're going to gain the skills and knowledge. Because again, these are the two things why parents avoid these conversations. They feel like they don't have the skills and they don't have the knowledge. So I'm here to help you with both of those. But I'm just giving you a personal story so you can possibly relate and come up with your own plan. So making that commitment is really important. And it's never too late. I mean, your kids are adult children. It's never too late. Just making that commitment to have the open relationship, because even adult children need their parents. They start having children of their own. They start getting into, deep relationships, and they need their parents. So it's never too late. So make that commitment today, if you haven't already, to be that rad parent. Be the one that's resourceful, be the one that's available, and be the one that's dependable. So if you don't have the skills, and this was my challenge, because I went to nursing school, so I definitely had the knowledge on how everything worked, how the reproductive system worked, and I had personal experience about relationships and different things, but I really didn't have the skills on how to start these conversations, or how to initiate the conversations, how to make them smooth. So the thing I did is I started to get some mentors, and I started reading. So I mentioned to you my professor in college. She was my very first mentor. And I actually kept a relationship with her after college. And she was able to help me just see the value in these relationships and just make them very easy to have. I mean, I could ask her anything. It was amazing. So having some mentors, and then finding some books. So I'll mention a couple of other mentors as we go through this, but I do want to mention some of the books that I read along the way that might be helpful for you. There's a million books out there. And so, there's libraries, and I am creating a digital library, and I have a digital AI chatbot that I'm going to share with you in a little bit, so those can definitely help you have the conversations. I shouldn't just say have the talk. So let me mention some of these books. So the first book I read was Raising Boys. That was my dog. And this is a book. There's a little bit of a religious slant in this for Christianity, but it's by John Roberts, and there were some great tools that I learned that I have used throughout the years on my boys. So I have 3 children of my own, and I have 2 boys and a girl, and I raised 2 stepsons. So I was around a lot of boys, and this book really helped me with raising boys. So just to give you just a little tidbit, like one of the greatest things I learned in that book was that boys need physical touch. They need a hand on their shoulder or on their arm, or instead of just talking to them, because that brings them out of their heads, because usually they're really focused on what they're doing. And it allows you to bring them into the conversation. So they just kind of wake up. And I promise you, it works. I use it all the time on my boys. And that physical touch makes such a difference than saying, hey, or, talking to them just, verbally. So Raising Boys was a great book. The next book that I read, and another mentor to me, was Deborah Rothman. My favorite book of hers was called Sense and Sensibility. And what she did, and I saw her speak, what she recommends are different talks at different ages. So, what's developmentally appropriate. So, those talks, or excuse me, those books were really helpful in knowing the right timing for when you should be having these talks. And she also gives ideas. I mean, she goes all the way back to when your 4-year-old asks, where do babies come from? And I think a lot of parents are frozen. What do I say? What do I say? How do I respond to this? And she gives great ideas on how to respond. And one of the greatest things I learned from her is if you give your kids too much information, guess what happens? It goes right over their head. It doesn't sink in. They have to be developmentally ready for that information. So don't be worried. Again, one of the barriers that parents say to me is, oh, what if I give them ideas, or what if I say too much or give them too much information? And you really can't, because developmentally they don't process it. And so you're really safe with, you don't have to worry or be anxious about giving them too much information or ideas, like, adult ideas. So she was wonderful. She was a great role model, or excuse me, more of a mentor, and I loved her books. The next book that really helped me with my kids during the tween and teen years was by Josh Shipp. I don't know if you are familiar with him. You might be, but the name of his book is The Grown-Up's Guide to Teenage Humans. And how this helped me is a few things. One of them, it made me realize how important parents are in shaping and helping their children and those relationships, having these conversations. And then the other thing it taught me is around the age of 14, your kids really shut down. It's normal. Honestly, I didn't think my kids were going to do it because I was so open with my kids. And each and every one of my kids shut down. And for me, I was really frustrated because I was so open with my children. But it happened to me. I talk about it in the book that I'm writing. It's just developmentally what they do. So how do you bring them out? How do you not get frustrated? How do you not end up lecturing them? What if they start yelling at you and walk away? How do you handle that? So Josh Shipp really helped me with those tools to avoid the escalation and just how to manage these confrontations or the shutdown. So that really helped me in those areas. And then just recently, I was referred a book called The 14 Talks by the Age of 14. So those of you who have tweeners, this is a really helpful book because it talks about gives you the tools about having these conversations, just kind of a check on yourself and how to make them smooth, gives you some tools. And then it also talks about some specific conversations that each 14-year-old should be having or should know, because it really lays the groundwork of future conversations. So those are 4 great books that I have used to gain the skills, and it's really, really helped me become a rad parent, which I'm here to help you. So aside from the mentors, the commitment is one, getting the mentors. Maybe parents that have open conversations or open relationships with their children. Those parents are wonderful, wonderful role models for you. People that you can tap into, say, hey, how did you have this conversation? Because I definitely see that in my classes where some parents are more open than others, and then the parents who are not tend to lean into the parents who are open. And that's a great way to learn the skills and the confidence to have those conversations. So mentors, reading, there's all kinds of great resources out there. I just gave you 4 resources that really helped me, so hopefully those will help you. And then the last thing is if it's really significant, like let's say you had a life experience of sexual abuse or some kind of really bad sexual experience that you're carrying with you, the best step in working through that and processing that would be therapy. So you really need to take a personal step back and deal with it before you move forward into talking to your kids about these conversations. So seeing a therapist, maybe doing some cognitive behavioral therapy, that might help. There's different kinds of therapies, EDMR, just so you can process your own personal experience, and then you come to the, you come to the conversation very calm and with ease, and because you've already processed some of your other, other feelings and emotions that you've experienced in your previous years. So those are 3 or 4 rather really great action steps to get yourself to become a rad parent, to have these conversations. So I hope this helped you. I do want to let you know that I have created a AI chatbot called NurseNettyAI, and it's like a personal coach on having these conversations. So if you want to sign up for that, that can help you. It gives you ideas. For example, you can ask, how do I teach my son or daughter about the reproductive system? And it will actually give you conversation starters, how to have the conversation. So it really helps you just plan it out, which is really, really helpful. I think that really addresses the skills that we're looking for. And then I've also in the process of creating a digital library for parents. So you can access little videos, and it has content and handouts and different things that you can use to teach your kids about their sexual health. So hopefully those 2 tools may help you if you're at a loss for other tools, or maybe supplement these tools with other tools. Everything is great. And as long as you're having these talks with your children and creating these really close relationships that not only do your kids crave, but I know you crave too, how we can bridge that gap and bring it together, whatever works best for you. But I just want you to know that I'm here to help. And if you want to reach out to me, I am at howtohavethetalk.info. I have my chatbot on there and my digital library. So come visit and subscribe to my channel, because there's more to come. In the next episode, we're going to talk about how to initiate these conversations. So I will see you in the next video.